See, I promise you when I say that I have no problems with Deku at all. I promise. But man, if there was one person to be put in the S tier of characters that the community hates in terms of an MC, Deku would be up there. I feel as if every week or every day I'm either seeing a new video of people dragging this man through the mud in a tweet or completely spitting on this man's name in a video. It's like there is no respect for Deku in any anime community or fandom other than his own. When Deku first got on the scene, I believe that there were so many more people who liked his character, and I think it's because a lot of people saw the potential in his character. Somebody who had absolutely no spine, getting a chance to go ahead and show that he's hardworking and that he can hang with the big dogs. Now, I feel as if in order to address why the tide turned on him, in my opinion, we have to address the elephant in the room. People started hating this dude the second he started crying. And just so that we don't get this confused, by no means is it bad for an MC in an anime to cry. There are plenty of MCs that we love to this day that have cried in their shows. But in those moments, it's usually impactful or some sort of gag. This dude was crying all the time. Also, quick intermission. I just want to make sure that we all understand that I have read all the way up to the end of My Hero Academia. I know this man does not cry nearly as much towards the end of the series as he does at the start, but I will say that this video is more coming from the point of view of people who haven't read all the way to the end or who haven't watched all the way to the end. By the way, these clips I'm showing you right now, all I had to do was type in Deku crying montage and I found them in like a split second. Like bro, look at this comment. Are we absolutely sure crying isn't his quirk? Like, you cannot tell me a guy like that can have any respect in the community. Look, if All Might's whole goal was to choose a successor that was as big of a crybaby and as spineless as Deku was, he would have got the same bang for his buck if he chose me. See, the only difference is that I would have actually used it for the greater good. Used it to get some hoes. How you doing, girl? Yeah, crazy Japanese dude just went ahead and gave me a free quirk. It's called One for All. You want to see me blow up that building? It's kind of interesting because if we look at the people who could have been good candidates for this power, we could literally look at other characters in the show. People like Todoroki, people like Bakugo could have used that power so much better than Deku. And I don't want to hear the argument that it was specifically Deku that All Might chose and he knew exactly who he chose because he saw the potential in him. Like, no, we're not doing none of that. And you know what? Something I realized very quickly after I started making videos a couple months ago is that when people see your videos, if they're very passionate about a subject, they're going to let you know they're very passionate about a subject. And you know, at times I do get the idea that maybe I should go ahead, turn it down, or maybe I should go ahead and walk on eggshells when I'm talking about this certain anime or talking about that certain fan base. But I thought to myself, how on earth would I be able to strike up conversations if I didn't give you guys my full and honest opinions? With that being said, I think that one of the reasons that people don't like him is because Deku is just way too flat to be the main character of My Hero Academia. Now, before the Deku stands get their pitchforks and torches and try to rip my head off, I'll go ahead and explain that I think that Deku as a character isn't my favorite, but I can understand where he comes from in the sense that when he first got into this, he was scared, he wasn't ready for it, it was a lot more than he expected, and over time, he fell into his role as a person who could potentially be the #1 superhero, and he took that seriously. I understand that. But I'm gonna be honest with you, when it gets to the point where I would have a lot more fun watching a spin-off where All for One is the main character, because Deku honestly has nothing else going for him other than the fact that he's a nice dude who wants to save people, it says a lot. I fell in love with characters like Goku and Luffy due to their playful nature and the fact that they're always looking for adventure and they are not opposed to throwing hands. Seeing the adventures they go on and seeing the hijinks they get into, that's entertaining stuff. People like Naruto as well. You hear Naruto with his backstory and the fact that he's such an outcast and he wants to show that he's a lot better than people think that he is and that he can rise up to the occasion and be more than people expect him to be. And some people might make the argument that it's the same thing with Deku, but it's really not, because of the fact that he had a loving mom who was caring for him, he had a roof over his head, he had food to eat, he lived in a world where there were plenty of people who also did not have quirks, people who lived exactly like him, and they didn't want to rise to the occasion. You know why? Because they were normal people living normal lives. They don't need to be superheroes. People like Naruto, it made it so compelling because he came from rags, absolute nothing, and he made himself into something that the world had to pay attention to, showing that, yo, you guys can't ignore me forever because I was meant to be something. If anything, you can compare Deku to Ichigo in the fact that they had a normal human life before they got their powers. But the thing about it is that at least with Ichigo, he had some angst to him. He didn't take no shit for nobody. He wanted a fight. If you talk down to him, guess what? He was gonna give you a 1-2 back. And like my thing is that when I'm sitting here saying this, a lot of people might listen to it and be like, well, obviously he's the main character. He wants to save his friends. That's his driving motive. But the thing about it is that it's not that driving motive being saving your friends is a bad thing. It's more of the fact that when you have other characters in the show that also have that driving motive, but they also have so much more in store at the same time, so much more to unpeel from that onion, it's like, why are we not focusing on them? Someone like Todoroki, that storytelling for his backstory, all the trauma he went through, all the stuff that all the hurdles he jumped over in order to become one with himself and realizing that both parts of himself make him who he is. Why weren't we paying attention to something like that? Why couldn't we have fleshed that more out? You know, someone like somebody like Bakugo, who was working, in my opinion, so much harder than Deku was, due to the fact that Deku had one for all. So a lot of his training was a lot easier for him. Someone like Bakugo being able to stand toe-to-toe with Deku by the end of the series, but yet he had a quirk that, technically speaking, was a lot less as good as his. It's like, why are we not focusing on somebody with like that? Somebody with so much more edge, so much anger built up, like so much resentment, trying to go ahead and uncover why he was built this way, why he grew up this way, why he turned out the way he is. We could have focused on something like that so much more rather than making him a side character, you know? And it's like, I think it was a good idea, in my opinion, the way that the show and like the manga presented all of UA basically being like the main characters, but the idea of putting Deku at the front probably wasn't the best, in my opinion. But regardless, that's just me rambling though. In terms of this video, I know this one is a little bit I know this one is actually like something that I feel like a lot of people probably would have like opinions on. So if you got opinions on it, if you got differing opinions than me, leave them down in the description. Obviously, if you're gonna be a jackass about it, I'm gonna be a jackass back, but you know, leave your opinions in the description. I love to hear your opinions on this. Like, I know people are not gonna agree with me, and that's fine. I don't make these videos for people to agree with me. I make these videos so that we can start conversations. Like, you know, we're anime fans, let's talk about anime, you feel me? But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and leave a like, leave a comment, your thoughts on it. Do you think that Deku is a good main character? Let me know. Subscribe to the channel if you're trying to join the cult. We're always accepting new family members, you feel me? And yeah, anyways, I don't really got intros or outros, so deuces. Also, All For One is amazing. I love his character. All right, deuces.